Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm carrying on. It is not the practice that in the two-man syllabus work, whilst it will be I can't even fucking read it. I'm so confused. And it's not her fault. She's just missed out a comma or a word. And I'm like, what? Can you get it up? Can you get it up? Just get it on your phone. Just get it on your phone.
I've got my answer up.
Go above it. It's the last thing.
Yeah, but above that, you see, I've got the other question she's asked.
Right,
and I haven't got
all
them.
I'm asking you to do is find the comment.
I haven't got it. I've got it here. Look, I got them all here.
Right,
I'm looking for it while you're there, but I haven't got it.
Right,
it's not on here. All I've got is the answer.
Right. Go to your latest one. Your latest one.
No.
Just check your latest one. It's on mine.
Yours.
Just look at your thing.
I'm looking at yours. I've got to look at yours.
I've just sent you the message. I've just sent you a message. Just check your message.
All right.
Jesus, this is what happens. You miss out a word or put a comma where it shouldn't be.
So I've got to get to
confused.
you then, right? Hang on, I've got to get to you. Right, hello. Yeah. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Not being able to speak is not the same as not speaking. You seem as if you like to talk. I like to let people talk who like to talk. It makes it easier to find out how full of shit they are.
What the hell did you just say?
You are the new student. Come closer.
You're listening to the Kung Fu Podcast presented by James Still.
Anybody who has some knowledge of Kung Fu can easily defeat you.
And Steve Newby.
Man, you come right out of a comic book.
If you flash him, even for an instant, a defiant eye, he'll pluck it out. And if you throw any American sass his way, he'll snap your back and your neck like they were twigs.
Good, excellent. Right, everyone. You got to smile this podcast. You got to smile, okay?
I'm doing my best to. I've cut my hair.
You look like a DJ. You look like one of them. Like that. Yeah. You cut your hair. Did you get a discount? Because I do.
I'll sell it to charity.
Yeah.
The length, so people can make wigs.
The wigs. They're looking to make whiskers. Honestly. Guys, welcome to episode. What are we on? 28? Please say it's 28. I think it's 28. Something. One of the episodes. Another, glorious episode of the Kung Fu Podcast. We're not at all a distressed ship in the international waters of Kung Fu. We're forever trying to be the optimists. No, not really. We do have the odd bitch now and then, just to be fair. But I'd like to start off just by showing you guys this funny clip from our friend John in America.
Hey Steve, I got this DVD on the butterfly now, so I'd like you to see some of the techniques from it, see what you think. The first technique, the first part of it, okay, after the introduction, the next technique, the single sword, butterfly sword form I've just learned, starts like this.
Yes. That was brilliant, wasn't it?
Because, it's Jake Mace related, of course.
Yeah, well,
from when we did that thing on Jake
the
Mace,
reaction video on Jake Mace.
He tried to throw the swords up and catch it.
Oh,
So he did us a funny video. Yeah,
I tell you
that's
what,
John in America.
he encapsulated it perfectly. I loved it. You know, he could have been in. Could have been in. Keep them coming, John. You know, make a parody of what we do. God knows it's almost a parody in itself. But
Yeah.
never mind. How you been anyway, Mr. Newbie?
Yeah, I've been doing well. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess working a lot right now, just because of the COVID. A lot of students, trying to get back to their courses. So
yeah, oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah,
So-
I'm in the process of doing my motorbike license now. I've decided, you know.
How many did you get out of what was it, 50?
47 on my theory test. 47 out of 50, which a pass is 43.
Yeah.
So I was quite chuffed with that. I was quite pleased.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, what we got here?
Hang on, I don't know. Who's this? Who's this?
Daniel,
you have an
come in.
intruder.
Thank God.
Not bad. We can see your nipples in that t-shirt. Just back off. Back off.
You know what that is? Don't you? That's fast food, that is.
Oh, is it? Oh.
My lucky, eh?
Oh, for God's sake. Just ever the professional Kung Fu podcast.
Yeah.
So what we've got? Have we got some questions today? Are we going to talk about
some
Kung
questions.
Fu?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some Kung Fu.
Uh-huh.
I tell you what, I'm going to start up by. You can't blame him because it is his room.
It is his room. That's right. Yeah.
But it's better. I think it's slightly better than being on a bed, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It is. Yeah. I love my bed.
Yes. Yeah.
But,
it is a comfy looking bed.
It is. It's a great bed.
Right. Okay. And let's say we have had a question from a chap in Australia. Which is
G'day.
interesting. G'day, mate. Put another shrimp on my barbie. Oh, if I can find it.
Fans. That's how to lose fans real quick, that is.
Am I stereotyping Aussies? I did Neighbours, Home and Away, Heartbreak High. I watched them all, man. Crocodile Dundee. Good eye.
That's not a knife.
Oh, come on. That's too obvious. That's too obvious.
Okay, sorry.
So it's from a chap called Daniel in Australia. Can't pronounce his second name, so we do apologise. And he says, "Hi, Steve and James. Very much enjoy the podcasts. I was talking the other day with a fellow practitioner and friend of mine who essentially said karate." Okay, all right. He essentially said karate is generally more linear, while kung fu tends to be more circular. What this means is that karate movements tend to take you forward with momentum towards the target, while kung fu movements shift weight laterally and rely more on reacting to your target's attacks. What are your thoughts on this? As I myself study kung fu, he puts in brackets, I'm not saying what style though, with a wink. Oh, all right, yeah, you play that. And he does say, keep up the good work, all the best. So that's nice. Thank you, Daniel. Right. Okay. So let's see. Karate is generally more linear.
I don't know a great deal about karate other than it's based on power. And so circular motions are not really kind of its forte, but
well, you can generate power with circular motions.
Well, of course you can, and but I'm generalizing when it comes to kung fu. People do say it can be circular, and obviously rotational movements. Rotation is one of the words I use all the time. Everything rotates, everything. So it's really important. I just caught my wire there.
Yeah,
it's really important to understand that it isn't any direction. If someone's coming, it's totally dependent on the person who's attacking you. If they're attacking you that way, you may be going backwards, consolidating your position, maybe to the side. Rotational motion depends on what they're doing. To be honest with you,
well, I mean, I think you can make the argument for both the styles.
Well, let's talk about grabbing. Okay, let's talk about grabbing. Okay, because in karate, there's
They call it.
Of course, they do grabs, but they don't. If you start the technique, yeah,
but they call it hickty. I think hickey. I don't know. But when they grab, there's an actual word for it.
Yeah, well, if they use fists on majority time, they're going to have to open their hand in order to grab, which takes it twice as long. And if something's in the way and you try to open your hand, there's no strength there.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to open your hand from, which is why Kung Fu tends to be much more open-handed and relation, to everything rotational.
So just to illustrate an example then, when the karate are in a line, I mean, I'm not saying we don't do line work, but they're punching out, punching in, punching out. So if we were going to, obviously we would make, this movement, we could interpret it as a grab as we punch. But in karate, if we're just constantly with fists, the issue is
majority of it is with fists, so they would argue that it's not all. No, I'd agree with them.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah. I'd agree. But our point is, if you're going to be just punch, and to grab someone, you'd have to open your hand to close your hand. Okay, and that in its sense is uneconomical. Whereas if you
because even in doing the blocks like sort of blocks like so and. I mean, there are things where they'll do that.
They do that. They do knife hands and stuff like that. Yeah,
so they will, to a degree, do some grabs. But of course, Kung Fu is much more wrist associated and much more fluid in that sense. I always had a joke between karate and Kung Fu when people used to say they'd come to inquire and they would say straight away, and I have to apologize to anyone who does karate. This was just a joke some years ago. I used to say at my class, and people would say, well, what's the difference between Kung Fu and karate? And I'd just say, we've got wrists. That's it.
Yeah. So. It's hilarious. I was laughing. I swear to God. No, it's completely. I think possibly, I mean, the question in itself, for me, it's a false premise question because it's assuming that karate is, well, it says it's essentially karate is more linear. I don't think karate is more linear. I think it operates on both planes. I think we can make the argument that karate is more power based. Certainly,
it's definitely it's based on power totally. There's the whole issue, whereas Kung Fu is much more liable to. Much more faster motion from a much closer proximity. So, therefore, what you got is you'll need a lot more rotation. And particularly if you're talking about close proximity, you're also talking about grabbing and holding.
Yeah.
So therefore you've got to maneuver and because you're so close as well with open hands, you're going to be able to, haven't got time to make a fist in a very short distance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you're trying to make that fist, you're probably going to do more harm to your own knuckles than you would if you just kept the hand open. So therefore, just keeping the hand open with it, poking, even the thumb, back of the hands, everything, the leopard's paw. Just it's all about the targets,
right?
Okay, and it's close proximity. So of course you're trying to get the target to move backwards. If the target will move backwards, then it gives you more space to do more techniques. So you're trying to do one technique, two techniques, three techniques, all the way, trying to attack the target, not just relying on, punch kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, Wing Chun's got another example, punch.
Yeah, the chain of punches.
Who's going to defend themselves against this kind of thing? Well, anyone who moves to the side and kicks you in the leg.
I've seen it in Ip Man. Honest to God, he throws the guy on the floor and he does about 100 punches to this guy's face. Yeah. But the guy was on the floor and his head couldn't go anywhere. So I think if you're trying to hit, you're chasing them around.
I think a lot of the time when we watch movies and people see movies and try to relate martial arts to movies, when you see someone throwing punches one after the other and they do this technique, then that technique, okay, so you grab him by the neck, you strangle him, then you poke him in the eye, then you jump on his head and you sit on his face. Once you've done all those things, if you were really good, surely only one technique would matter, and that would be it. Okay, 1, 2 techniques, finish it. Don't go punch there, then I'd do this, then I'd go around that way and do this, then I'd kick him to the leg, then I'll get him down, and all that kind of thing. It kind of extends the length of the fight.
But wouldn't you also? I mean, concede, as you've taught me, in terms of the application and theory, is like for every strike there's a reason, and we've, meaning, I'm going to punch there, to make make your foot, to open up a target, to punch another one, to make you come forward.
Yes, you can set them up. You can set them up, but I'm not talking about where you're setting up any specific. They tend to okay, when they do this, the punch is out there, right? Block the punch, smack them in the mouth, right? Hit them in the ribs, right? Now sweep them, now get them down, sit on their face,
1970s karate. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, and it's that kind of thing that it kind of gives martial arts. It kind of misrepresents martial arts in the sense that everyone expects to throw loads and loads of different techniques at different targets. With no end at any of them, just loads of different, showy offy moves. Jump. I've seen people do it on stage where they jumped on someone's back after they've punched them and done everything. And the karate guy, he was a karate guy that did it. He was quite a famous karate guy, actually, in movies. Yeah. And then he was doing a demo in that in one of those big shows. I can't remember what show it's called.
Not the Geeko.
Yeah, Geeko Spectacular. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish that was on YouTube. I wish someone could dig it out, put it on YouTube, because that was really good.
I'm sure I've got some of it on.
You had the VHS because you gave it to me once. Yeah, and Bill Wallace was on there and all sorts. It was really good.
Yeah. So that's right. We had Bill Wallace on there. I watched them all, and anyway, this guy did this karate thing, and he had some obviously British karate guys come out. They did the classical step and punch, Mawashi Geri kind of thing.
Right.
No, is it Mawashi Geri? Is that a round kick? Isn't it?
I don't know. I thought, isn't that a throw? No, I don't know.
I don't know.
You can't even do the Chinese. Don't attempt the Japanese.
Mawashi Geri, King Geri. Yeah, Mawashi Geri is a round kick. King Geri is a front kick. Yeah.
King Geri.
So I don't know where a punch is. I've forgotten. Huh? I've forgotten where. I've forgotten where. I forgot where a punch is. So I apologize to any karate people. I really do. It's a punch. So yeah, basically he's doing a step and a punch, and Christ, that's annoyed me now. That has, because I used to know all those things. Karate was the first thing I did when I was 13. Yeah, karate. I was 10 pence a lesson. 10 pence.
I had karate as a youngster, like real small, like when I was about 8, 9, 10 maybe.
Yeah.
And I remember, because it wasn't karate, because it wasn't doing katas, but I had the suit and everyone, all the kids, what we're doing karate. And the one thing the guy taught us, and it was great. He's a black fella down at the Blind College in Hereford. He's brilliant. One thing he taught was put your guard up like that, put your guard up like that. And of course, as kids, like that. And I remember getting into a fight at school. I think I did. Anyway, someone was sat down and they tried to swing at my head, and I went like that, and it blocked it. And I was like, I can do karate. I felt great. I was on cloud 9 for ages. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
I didn't hit him or anything. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I was just saying they do. This guy did the classical step and punch.
Yeah.
And this guy kind of blocked it, punched me in the face, punched him several times. The punch is going past his face like that.
Yeah.
Then he kind of jumped on his head, jumped on his back rather than chopping his neck and this kind of thing. It was quite a bit over the top, loads of different techniques while the guy was standing there like this.
Oh, have you seen one? Have you seen one of these? Have you seen the one on YouTube when it's all these fake martial artists and bullshit though and stuff? This one guy, he's on his knees, and he starts off on his knees and in front of an attacker who stood up, and he starts hitting the leg, and then he moves around whilst on his knees around to the back of this guy all the time, striking him, and he does 360 around this guy, hit him about 40 times or something while he's moving around, and it's just what? And he's trying to show him.
But we're not supposed to critique anyone. We're not supposed to criticize people. That doesn't happen on YouTube. It doesn't happen on the bullshit martial arts or anything like that, does it? So no one can do that. Apparently, it's really evil.
Yeah. Oh, that's
and yet
true.
people, it's quite justified most cases.
Yeah,
So,
I think so. I think so.
yeah, it's definitely justified.
Listen,
Go
going
on.
back to Daniel's points,
Yeah.
or in his question to us, his communique. Kung Fu movements shift weight laterally and rely more on reacting to your target's attacks. So,
I think he's right. Yeah, I think he's right. It does react, doesn't it? It does react. It's what the other person does that matters. You
Right.
can't just stand there as a fighter and just, throw out your punches and not be aware of what your opponent's doing.
Yeah.
So you've got to respond to whatever happens. And of course, that's why we do sticky hands, because we're trying to adapt to the other person's movements.
Couldn't we... Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that's why you do rotations as well. So you're picking it up and taking it off. Grabbing, of course, once you've picked it up and you can grab, and that's what that rotation is there. So when you're doing that kind of block, that isn't like block, that's rotate, block and do something.
Because it could be an interim movement.
To prevent them from continuing to punch. How many people are going to stand there and punch once? They're going to punch several times. So when you block one and trap it, if you can trap it, stop him from punching any further.
That's your
then
favorite.
You can do something.
That's my favorite. I like doing that.
Yeah.
They can't move. Oi, oi.
A bit of robotics there.
It was because you're trying to punch someone and you can't because the hand is trapped. The arm is trapped. It's brilliant. I think the problem, it's not a problem, but just a point. Like, whenever we try and generalize within the context of a question, we're always...
we go off on one.
Well, yeah, but it's like, I think that the complexity of martial arts, karate, kung fu, whatever, is far more, a lot more complicated than just trying to sum it up in a sentence. So it's like, kung fu movements shift weight laterally and rely more on reacting to your target's attacks. Yeah, I get what you're saying. You agree, but that's a massive, expansive point. But you could argue the same for karate as well. So
it's based on power and
but I mean, but why is that not any more relevant to karate and fighting?
It's a different kind of persona, totally.
I'm not denying that.
It's aggressive. It's powerful. It's intent on inflicting as much energy as possible. And to do that, you need to be going in one direction. Okay, it's very difficult to do it in two different directions at the same time. Kung Fu, however, is responding to what the other person's done. Responding and using it to your advantage. It's a bit like saying, you can't do it with karate. You can do it with Aikido, okay, or you can do it with jiu-jitsu, where you're responding to a person attacking you and you work in a linear manner to throw them. And Kung Fu is the same thing. There's a lot of throws in Kung Fu. We don't use it that much in Lao, but there are an awful lot of throws in Kung Fu that, are decisive in just after someone's grabbed you, especially when you're close on.
Yeah.
When you're close up. So close-up fighting is a totally different animal. And I don't think you can fight close up with...
I think
this kind of thing.
Yeah, I've seen some. There's a really good karate guy on YouTube called is it Ian Abertheny? I've got a book of his somewhere. But basically, and I say, I don't particularly like the aesthetic of karate. I just think it's too sort of solid and lacks sort of grace. Not grace, but flow in motion.
It can be beautiful in demos.
What I'm trying to say is no, but it's very masculine to look at it, and I like the look at. I like the feminine side of the flowing and the blah blah blah, but this guy's really really good. It's Ian Abertheny on YouTube. Look him up, and he'll talk and he'll break down the katas and his interpretation of what he's doing. Hikti, and because a lot of people don't understand that pulling back could be a grab as well. So that was one of his things that he was saying, and but intelligent guy. Quite knowledgeable about his subject of karate, certainly. So look him up. But But any other points on that, old man? What do you reckon?
No, I just agree with what he said. He actually answered his own question, and he's saying that it's one is linear and the other one is more rotational, and I think I'd agree. because I don't agree that karate can be used a great deal offset. It's like bomb, turn, bring in the foot, step out, do it again. Step forward, step backwards, it's very rigid.
Right.
I mean, if you look at it in terms of the way that it's taught from the katas and so on, and then when you look at the forms of kung fu, yes, you're going forwards and you're going backwards and that, but you're doing very much different things with your arms. So very much linear and continual technique after technique after technique in one direction. You do the bang, bang, bang kind of thing.
That's one of the things you do start to notice. Like, I mean, whenever I see sort of either a taekwondo pattern or a lot of karate katas, like you just said, you see the moments within that kata, the form, the pattern, whatever, when there's wasted time and wasted sort of effort and energy. And I think when we do kung fu, certainly the forms with Lao, which we're all the time thinking about the forward direction and trying to create as much sort of energy in the direction.
You're closing the gap. There's no such thing as moving backwards, which is why I always say when someone does a technique, we consolidate the stance as opposed to step back. Because if someone's attacking you and you move with them, you're not stepping back, in effect.
Yeah.
You're consolidating your stance in the same range all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're not stepping away from him.
No.
You're stepping with the movement.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can be stepping that way and you can be stepping that way. That's not stepping back. Yeah. That's with the movement.
Yeah. When we say, I mean, when we move back from an attack, we gain the maximum time to react. I mean, isn't it sometimes preferable to step back?
No, but you're stepping with him if you stand there.
Yeah, but this is the point I'm trying to get you to
react.
Yeah. The point you're making is you're consolidating and you're not actually moving. But if we're being specific about words, okay, not actions, just words, when you step back, that implies you're increasing the distance between you and the opponent. Does it
but
not?
no, it doesn't. This is moving backwards.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay,
if the attacker's coming with you, you're moving back. You've got that extra time. If you stand there, you've got less time. Right? If you move that way, you've got less time. If you move that way, you've got less time. If you move that way, you've got less time. But they all have their advantages.
Yeah, right.
Moving back just gives you more time. Standing still doesn't. And moving forward doesn't. Moving sideways doesn't. So moving backwards gives you enough time to consolidate your position and respond. Yeah.
But if you don't move, you have to.
That isn't, because that's out of range.
All right.
As soon as you go out there, you're out of range, and you're giving him a chance to kick. Where you're going backwards, so it's going to be difficult for you for at least certain ways of responding.
If you consolidate your ground, if you hold your own ground, you're working off the attacker's time predominantly because you're waiting for them to move. Unless
they don't expect you to stand there.
No. But if you close the gap by going forward, that is what we call the optimum time.
That's right. Didn't you watch that? You watched that thing you sent me, obviously, that two people to having that proper fight. That guy was swinging his arms like, Hungar or Choily Foot or whatever, he's swinging, and that guy was trying to get away from him. Remember? And I says to you, he's doing that. If the guy was to move forward and just put his head forward, the guy would walk straight into his head. But it's very difficult. Then it ends up on the floor, of course. So it's totally dependent on whether he's successful or not.
Right.
But it certainly would be a much very, very powerful blow with the head if the guy's swinging and coming straight at him, and he just, instead of trying to get back away from him all the time, that he was just to come straight inside.
Right.
It's very difficult, isn't it? Yeah. It's like a boxer, same kind of thing,
Yeah.
Big swing, come inside, boom, and as close as you can. Makes it very difficult as the guy's swinging around you and you come inside and you're hitting. It makes a difference.
Right.
So, what do I know? Making it up as I go along.
We can talk a good fight.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So thanks for the question, Daniel, and the best of luck. I'm glad you enjoy it, and
send us a video. People send us videos. If you send us
go
videos,
on the beach.
We can explain.
On the beach, just point it in the direction of some nice, on Bondi Beach, some bikinis. Let's have some.
Just watch out for the sharks.
Yeah, watch. Right. Okay. Have we got another question?
We got one from from England. That one that girl sent us.
Oh yeah. Let me try and find it.
I remember that one because I did answer it. So and I sent you the
but
answer
we can talk about it, can't we?
Yeah, I think it's worth discussing it.
Yeah. All right, hang on. Let me find it. Da. God, I've got so many.
We talked about it previously about number 5 and 6, and she was saying how the way people train isn't the same.
Yes, right. So it's a message with a question in it. She's hello. Ooh, kick blocks. Hey.
Yeah.
In my experience, because we were talking about 5 and 6.
She's Lao. Is she Lao? Yeah.
Yeah, she's Lao. We were talking about 5 and 6 kick blocks, and this question was this.
Yeah.
Message.
Well, she questioned what we were saying. So
yeah.
Says we love that.
Absolutely, it's great. Just okay. So you're going to read out this one now.
This is what. Yeah, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, this is what she sent to you. Hello. Oh, kick blocks. In my experience, the biggest debate I have is always to do with distancing. Back in the day, doing big ABC, she uses our terminology. I was taught that the attacker determines the distance. Absolutely agree. Now, to deliver the 2-hand pressing block, striking down. Okay.
Yeah.
John Ma. Okay. Strikes to catch the leg on a thigh before the kick is delivered creates all sorts of issues in practice. And I have to say, it isn't the way I've been taught in defense. Okay, so the concept itself makes sense. I'm not denying it. The reality of delivery is that often the kicks are not completed. Well, that's true. That's not reality, though. That is people training and not delivering their kicks.
That's compliance training. That's compliance training.
Compliance training. My answer to her, and I can read that as well, but I could just say it now, is basically that, yes, compliance training. No one suggested that you have to kick fast and hard when you're training, okay? But you do have to kick reality, realistically. Now, if I'm going to do a punch to you, James, okay, and we're training in a class and I do a punch and I leave this much distance, then that's not a punch.
No.
I've got to hit you when my arm is like this, and then I've got to push your body. So I can't do that fast because that would hurt. Yeah. So therefore, as we do it, we get to that point, touch the body, and then continue to push through the body. Yeah. What that means, if you've got a complete punch, but without pain, but it means also that the technique has been applied in its proper sense. Yeah. So if I was to do that, and then you was to block it,
then it's a false block.
No. If I was to get to this point,
not a false block. Sorry.
And then you was to block it. Yeah. Then of course, as it follows through, your block is continuously, working. You follow me?
It's going to deflect. Yeah.
Yes, it's applied at the right time. Yeah. But it can be applied at the right time because of the speed we're doing it. Yeah.
Right.
So let's go on with this question. Yeah. So she says the concept itself makes sense. Not denying it. The reality of delivering is that often the kicks are not completed. And this is what we're talking about. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send them a video of me and Daniel kicking each other in the groin. Okay. And then at some point in time, I'm going to stop his leg from kicking me in the groin. But the point is the angles and the distances will be absolutely correct because literally he will be kicking me in the groin and I will be kicking him in the groin.
Yeah.
We train that. So, and then she'll be quite, she'll see it and she'll understand the concept. Okay. So they're pulled, obviously. So the kick is delivered to completion and you're on top of each other, hitting shins and bruising heel palms, etc. Well, yeah, you will do if you do it too fast and too hard. But then there's
an element of contact, though. You've got to have an element of contact. Yeah, there's
got to be an element of contact, and sometimes there's got to be an element of theatrical license. That theatrical license has to be as correct distancing. You can't make theatre if the distances aren't correct. Okay, you can't do a sword fight unless the distances are correct.
But remember when a while back we were on the podcast when we were talking about doing the hand blocks and kick blocks, and I mentioned that we put together a long form of them all together.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with the basis of you're at a closer range, you're within sort of I don't know what you
you've got
call
to
it,
be
stick in hand range or whatever you want to call it. But the point was it was a lot closer. So
real range, a real range. Basically.
So it was more honest, as opposed to
realistic.
Yeah, more realistic, as opposed to the start of a kick block when if one person gets the range wrong or if one person can't judge the distance properly, that negates the true practice of it, I suppose.
Yeah.
In a way.
But of course, you're doing it at speed with each other at a reasonable speed that is not going to throw in lots of energy. No. Of course, you can increase the energy. It's like you can punch at people and not throw the energy, but then you can punch at boxing, kick shields and stuff like that, or pads or bags with as much energy as you like. Okay. Are you after that bloody fly again?
Yeah. You've got to wait.
Hang on, I'm going to read this while you're doing that.
Sorry. I was hoovering them off.
Okay. She says, but now I know you say you need good attackers, right? So it says here, completion that you're on top of each other, hitting chins, bruising palms, etc. It goes on. Now I know you will say you need good attackers. Well, yeah, good attackers, but also attackers that are going to work with you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not suggesting that they just hold their leg out for you. I'm saying you do it at speed, but you just simply relax the amount of energy you're going to throw. Okay, because you can add that as you develop. When the person knows how to defend, when the person can defend it straight off, you're going to be able to build up that to that point. The correction comes in the distance of the attacker, so that the kick is all but a foot distance away, as if hitting a focus pad. Thereby, the press hits the shins and pushes the leg down. Well, it misses the point then. It completely misses the point because you're holding the kick back. And so then the target... it becomes irrelevant. It becomes wrong target.
Okay, so if you're aiming to kick a focus pad, for example, that's not a target in relation to your body. It's a target. What I mean is, it's the target out in front, whereas we're dealing with a target on your body.
That's actually
then. So
So it says here.
I get it. I get what she's saying.
Yeah, totally pressing hits the shins and pushes the leg down. The defender, having consolidated, has taken the body away from the intended strike zone. The consolidation or the movement of the body should be exactly the same time as when the kick comes, because you've got to be there to attack the leg, because it is an attack. It's not a block. It is an attack. So you're attacking the leg, consolidating your position at the same time, so you can then deliver energy from a position of energy, from a strong point. You can't be flying backwards, knock something back, and then try to come back, because you're still on your way that way, backwards. So you've got to consolidate your position.
But it's not strength on strength, because because you're intercepting the kick. In theory, you're intercepting the kick before it's even developed. So once it goes past a certain point, it's going to struggle, because then if you think about the pressing, you're dealing with leg power or leg mass and weight versus wrist power. But not only that, you'll be dropping your body. But even so, that's a lot of.
But it only works. Yeah, but leg power only works when when it's in full swing.
Yeah, right. So this is the point.
If I was to try and punch you from here,
then
I'd never get as powerful a punch. As out there.
So,
yeah, same thing.
But I'm saying is, if people mistime that, I would argue that the wrist is a hell of a lot weaker than the leg.
Yeah.
To compete with that power on a collision is not conducive,
and that's why you're going to get it before it starts to develop that energy, which is why you have to be above the knee, because it's the slowest part of the leg. It's the first thing to move. That's why you're going for it.
It's similar. It's similar in principle to if you think someone's going to throw a punch, you just hit them on the shoulder, bang,
exactly,
like that. And so the punch hasn't even developed. So
exactly, that's a good example. I think I've got to the end. It is not the practice that in the two-man syllabus work, whilst it will be teaching distance and targeting should be delivered with an element of compliance between both parties, right? Well, it is an element of compliance, but it has to be a true technique. It can't be an adjusted technique to suit the individuals, right? Because you lose out then.
Yeah.
Let me just, I'll give her my full answer. I'll give you my full answer. Let me find her. And I'll give you my full answer.
Right, do I have to read it out? Am I going to have to read it?
No, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it for you.
All right, okay.
Okay, so here it is. So basically, right. I totally understand where you come from and agree that the distance is always defined by the attacker or the attack. I also recognize that you are saying what you are saying about attackers holding back because of fearing getting hurt. The thing is, whilst techniques have to be trained with real distance, timing and coordination, no one said you couldn't slow the scenario down when learning. If we trained with full power from the off, we would quickly run out of partners. But to change the method and by doing so nullify the result, not to mention alter the understanding, would make any technique pointless. It would prevent understanding and corrupt the technique, making it useless or simply not actually learned. Both attacker and defender must work at the same pace, but as with all techniques, there has to be some theatrical license, but not at the expense of the original purpose. We do sticky hands slowly to learn, but we cannot do it if we alter the distance or the technique. Yeah. So it's got to be honest, so that as we progress, we can fully utilize the result of the practice for its intended purpose. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. So a good example is sticky hands. Obviously, if you're trying to reach each other out there because you don't want to hurt each other, you're losing the whole concept of sticky hands.
Well, you see it in Wing Chun demonstrated a hell of a lot, because they'll be out of that range, but they'll be throwing and bong sawing and whatnot. And jutsu,
and the punches
whatnot.
are missing by that much.
And it's not. I'm not saying all, but I'm saying you just go on YouTube, look at a lot of people training Wing Chun, sticking hands. That you see that. No doubt
and when they do get close, what do? Off to the side.
Right.
Yeah. So that becomes pointless.
Right.
That direct attack becomes pointless to a Wing Chun guy, because the Wing Chun guy's moving off to the side. So it's kind of moving off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's not actually standing there. So you might say I'd attack you straight, but then you would actually defend you off to the side. So you're kind of nullifying in your own idea, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I hope that makes sense to that one. And to anyone who's listening, because a lot of people do. The other person that's listening, because
the other person.
Yeah, because if obviously with all martial arts, no matter whether it's Lao or not, and anyone who's doing Lao and often finds that they're doing hand blocks that are far too far away, that actually wouldn't work, because most people will say, I wouldn't do that technique, it doesn't work. I wouldn't do that because it's not going to work, it's not going to reach, and so on, because they practice it so much out of context, out of range, that there's no point in practicing it, because all you're doing is practicing something that doesn't work. And we know that a lot of martial arts do that, always trying to make it as fast as possible, but completely out of range. And it's the range that defines everything. So what's the most important thing, I would ask two listeners? I would say, what's the most important thing out of power, speed, accuracy? So answer for the listeners.
Well, I'm going to, all right, yeah. So obviously everybody wants us to say, oh, it's going to be speed, because power is relative, speed is absolute. But without accuracy, everything falls apart.
So the one thing that I always tell people is, let's just imagine Clint Eastwood with his Magnum.
Hey,
357.
No, it was a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world. I was shooting one on my wedding stag day.
Yeah.
It's great.
I shot one when I come to Canada the first time,
Yeah, but were you shooting at 50 yards on a 6-inch plate? And
shut up.
Oh, it's great. It's the most... Oh, I love that. Sorry, yeah, anyway.
Shooting it. I could only afford 2 bullets.
I didn't pay for them. It was my stepbrother. He said, "I've gone to my father-in-law and I borrowed some guns." He said, "I've got what's the most iconic movie gun?" He says. I went. I said I don't know, the Beretta, like in Lethal Weapon. He said, Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry Magnum. I went, no way. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so let's just imagine I'm Clint Eastwood, and I've got my 44 Magnum, most powerful handgun in the world.
Gun in the world. Could blow your head clean off.
You might as well do this, James.
Sorry.
You
I can do
the
the
eyebrows
quote
and everything. Yeah. Okay, so if he sticks it against a head and pulls the trigger, no matter how fast that bullet is, no matter how powerful that gun is, if it isn't pointing at your head properly, it's going to miss. Might deafen you, but it's not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
So the point is, accuracy is the most important thing. So making sure that you're accurate and not fast and not powerful, those are irrelevant until you get accuracy. So that's why you've got to have that technique at the right range and true to yourself. Okay, I think that ends that quote, really, doesn't it?
I think
but if you want to do the whole Clint Eastwood thing with the eyebrows and everything, then please do. That would be...
Now I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots? No. Did he? No, I'll start again. Now I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 4 shots? Oh, no, I can't remember now.
5 shots or 6?
No. Now I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, truth is, in all the excitement, I kind of lost count. But being that this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and could blow your head clean off, you've got to ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? I think that's it. Thank you. See, you get this level.
I only did it so I could see the eyebrows. The eyebrows.
So Roger Moore's got nothing on me.
You reminded me of Jim Carrey doing it. Brilliant.
Oh, it's grainy.
Oh, Jim Carrey's amazing. Yeah. Okay, have we got any more?
No, that's it for sort of for the questions. I think we'll keep this one brief because we were going to do the whole podcast, including the last one we did, but we decided to split them up. So we'll keep this one a short one. But what we will finish with is talking about kick blocks 7 and 8. That's
because that other one is the reprisal.
Oh yeah. If you're still with us after that last one, but Jesus. Okay. Go and listen to it. If you haven't listened to it, knock yourselves out. It was.
It's just being honest.
Yeah, being honest. At least we're honest. Okay, kick blocks 7 and 8. We just got to keep it kung fu today, old man.
Yeah.
Techniques.
What's a script?
I don't know. Okay, kick blocks 7 and 8. Okay. So go ahead.
7 and 8. That's a Fu Jiao, isn't it?
No, that was hand blocks. We did that.
Oh, we're doing kick blocks?
Yeah,
I apologise.
Yeah. The clue was in kick blocks.
Yeah, number 7, yeah.
I don't know what your excuse is. It's flipping,
I know.
I don't know, 5 o'clock in the morning for me.
Side kick. Yeah, front kick, step behind, side kick. Yeah, so you left foot forward, you do a front kick, and then you quickly step behind and do a side kick. So it's the stepping behind and the side kick that's quite good for that one, yeah. And people are pressing it down exactly the same as they would with the previous ones. Yeah. So that discussion that we just had with that question is relative to that.
Right.
Okay. The next one then is bong sao. Okay. So what a lot of people do is when they do the first block and then they do the bong sao, what they tend to do is they move backwards, which is fine because they've got to step away from the kick. So they're consolidating their position. Yeah. And as they do so, they then are you are literally smacking against the calf of that kick. of the side kick. You are literally smacking that kick. The problem is, of course, it's going to hurt your opponent or your partner. So when they do the side kick, you have to be wary of it. You sort of guide it off. And so what happens is over a period of time, people who are training it start to move off to the left instead, because then when they do it, it's not going to have the same amount of effect, the same amount of energy.
Right.
So they get so used to it. So, pressing down, and then they move off to the left and bongs out. What they should be doing, pressing down as the kick comes, bang in it. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with moving off to the left slightly, but not so far as you kind of nullify the technique. The bong sao is meant to literally strike, bang, like a forearm smash, really, against the calf. Yeah. Okay. And then of course you're elbowing.
But talking about the rotation, I mean that's part of the power generation or the ging or whatever you want to put into it. In that the effectiveness of the bong sao.
Yeah, every defense is meant to be an attack, and this is a good example. Yeah. Bang, and straight in, and of course you've knocked them far enough around, and this is the issue. You see, when people move off to the side, they do the bong sao, but they haven't now moved the target, so they haven't spun, because they haven't knocked them over. Yeah. Where if you step back and you bong sao, you're going to knock them across, and they're going to end up with their back to you. And that's where your elbow is going directly to the base of the spine, which is what you're aiming for.
Right. Okay. So it's not to the side.
No, the reason it ends up at the side is because people
aren't doing the bong sao.
Do that. Yeah, the person lands straight on, and therefore you end up doing the elbow to the side. Right. What it's meant to be is whack, knocking them across. Yeah. They end up with their back to you, and they're kind of almost falling straight onto your elbow, which is directly aimed at their spine. Yeah. Okay, which is bone to bone.
The motion of the elbow sort of follows directly on from that bong sao, in that you're not
as you're shuffling in.
Yeah. So you're not in any way drawing back the elbow. Again, constant forward.
No, it's just there, and then you're moving directly elbow in. Yeah, because the person is placed in your position. Yeah. So it's a very quick, decent technique that he's attacked at the to the person that's turned. You've turned him round. Yeah,
right. It's a real Bruce Lee kick, that one, isn't it? The old step behind side kick.
Yeah, it is. And of course, if you're moving close enough, there's no way they're going to be able to lift a leg to do a back kick as well, because they could follow up with a back kick. Right. Once you spin them around like that, if they're not in pain, of course, they immediately will maybe try to do the back kick. That's why you've got to shuffle straight in. Your knee, your foot, your leg has got to be right close to their leg. If it isn't, then they could maybe lift that leg to do a back kick.
Obviously, doing the elbow, just be careful. Don't be hitting people in the base of the spine, because that hurts.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're talking about that theatrical license, of course, but your accuracy has got to be the distances. You don't have to actually the spine. You just have to know it's there and kind of thing. Got to know it's there. Yeah. Okay. And if you just press it against it, they go, "Oh, I can feel that." Yeah, it's fine. Mm. Yeah. And then, of course, if you wanted to follow up, of course, and they're like that, you can just put the hand on and do exactly what you do with number 9. Or yeah. Is it number 9? Number 9 and 10 actually. Number 9 kick block.
They haven't got there yet.
Sorry. Okay.
We just go like that.
Yeah, so there's the mistake that people make, is they don't literally push their target around, so they can't actually hit to the spine. So that's the biggest usual mistake with that kind of that number 9. Sorry, number 7. Yeah. Right.
Okay. Yeah. Brilliant. I to be honest, I think that's it on that one. I mean, I don't know what more we could say into recovery. Yes, if
they'll step away from you. They're already got their back to you. Yeah, but that's just the formal recovery. That's if you hit them in the back, it's unlikely they'd bloody be able to recover.
But if you're doing the formal recovery as the attacker, so you're having to step across yourself. Just think to yourself, if you do find yourself with your back towards someone, step across, make it big, spin around, rather quickly, and get your eyes on the target again, on your opponent.
It's just formal training.
Yeah, so it's formal training, but it's useful, isn't it, just to get that mindset?
That's what formal training. Yeah. Okay, so what
number
we
eight.
doing?
Number eight.
Number 8.
Yeah. So again,
How would you feel?
this perfectly illustrates the point that we were making with the interception. Number 8.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It is. Boom, moving in.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy kicks. He goes to do a turning kick. We call it attempted turning kick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just pressing down, moving straight in. So as soon as you press down, your arm is already there. So you just move in, bang. Now, there's a difference here because some people will block and then hit with the same hand, and other people will block and hit with that hand. Okay. So people have different versions of it, which is quite funny.
Okay, for everybody, what is the kick block? Just for those people listening.
Okay, so it's a front kick, an attempted turning kick.
Right.
So your left foot forward, you do a front kick with your right, then you go to do a turning kick with your left.
Yeah.
Okay, the right hand is going to block it down. Okay, press against it. The second kick. The first one is pressing down like so. Yeah. Okay, so you're pressing down normally, and then as soon as you press down, you'll move directly in as he attempts to do the turning kick with your forearm in position against his leg. Yeah. As it comes up, and a lot of people can't do really high turning kicks at this stage. Right. So therefore, the problem you've got here is people attempt to do a turning kick, but remember, a turning kick is supposed to look like a front kick. A side kick is supposed to look like a front kick. It's not supposed to be like that.
No, it starts off in the same sort of
starts
way.
Off in exactly the same place, which is why you can move in like so. The problem you've got is a lot of people attempt to do the turning kick and they've got it partially up like that. In reality, the groin is totally open. Right. So the idea of doing a turning kick in Lao is to do exactly the same as a front kick forwards, and then you bring it up, knee up, and then around after the knee's up. So it's when the knee is up that's when you're attacking. So you're literally attacking inside of the thigh. Okay, one of the quadricep, just the inside of the knee. Yeah. So you're literally striking it, okay, as it comes up before it gets to become a turning kick, right. And at the same time then hit into the chest, okay. And a lot of people, because they keep their arms up, tend to think, well, wait a minute, he's that close, I could just punch him. Well, when you're throwing a turning kick, most people in reality would tend to throw their arms back as they try to do the kick. So that's kind of what it's aimed at. It's aimed at kind of an attitude, self-defense type of attitude.
That is the biggest, that is one of the biggest criticisms, I think, of that, is that why would you drop both hands at once and expose your top half? But that's right. I suppose if you think about it as an attitude thing, you just get in.
Well, there's several different ways that people approach it or kind of solve the issue.
Well, I've seen some people go up high,
and
like
I've done,
literally,
I was just going to say,
they've gone up high, taken the arm out the way, and then hit and then punch.
And that's one thing I would teach as well. Right. I would teach that. That's that rotation. So I would literally teach that, and I have done in the past. Teach that. I'm not suggesting it's the right way. I think the right way is the way to stop that bloody leg coming up and then to thump him. Yeah. Okay. If the arms are there, however, are you just going to walk your face straight to his arms?
Well, I'll be headbutting.
If his arms are thrown, if his arms are thrown back, then you can do the technique like so. If his arms aren't thrown back, you've got to adopt to the technique, to the the target. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself doing something which you're going to be so used to, you'll do it in reality, and someone will just headbutt you by accident. Not because they intended to, but because they did the kick. You knock them down, they fall forward, smack you straight in the face with their head. So you've really got it. That's why I'm suggesting, maybe you can do that. Okay. Basically, that's it.
Yeah.
And that can be whether you're pressing the arms down, whether you're putting your arm into their elbow, or whether you're smacking them around the face. Okay. It totally depends on the target and the proximity of the target. That's why you've got to do these things slowly.
Right. When we talk about the press, can you be sort of a bit more specific to our listeners and viewers about what exactly you mean by the press? I mean, some people are striking from the inside.
First move of the first set.
So the first move of the first set.
Yep.
Right.
First move of the first set, striking the inside of the thigh, which is up like a front kick, about to turn into a turning kick.
Okay, so
if you have your groin open to do a turning kick, like say they do in Taekwondo, where they lift the leg right up, then you're just exposing your groin. So in Kung Fu, all kicks are fairly low, okay? But we need them, the higher you bring the knee, the higher the kick will be. So in this case, where we're trying to get the leg a little higher for the purpose of the exercise, but it doesn't have to be, because guess what? If you've got a good low stance, you're going to be lower than the person in front of you. If you're a defender of smaller stature than a guy attacking you, which is how it's meant to be designed, in other words, to defend yourself against bigger people, then the process works because you're in a lower position. And therefore, it doesn't matter how low he does his kick. If it's a standard turning kick, you're going to be able to strike at it because you're a lower person or shorter person. So that's what it's really designed for. And the problem we've got, of course, as we're different sizes and we have very small people attacking very big people, in a scenario, in a class, that's not realistic so much as it would be a big person attacking a small person. But of course, all scenarios are valuable.
Yeah, sure. I think it does sort of, obviously, we talk about social diversity training, martial arts, different people, different sizes, all the rest of it. But I think this is where I think when you're learning it and you're doing it one way with a tall person,
and then you have to change it.
You have to change, and then you have to.
But a lot of people don't change, and then they go, "Well, it don't work."
Yeah,
well, it's because they don't adapt. They can't adapt it because they haven't got to that point where they could adapt.
Right.
And this is why it angers me so much when people are doing the traditional kung fu, when they're doing Lao, and this is a criticism, which I'm quite open to criticism. People learn the hand blocks, they learn the kick blocks, they get to black sash, they don't practice them anymore. They get someone else to teach them. And they become like black sash doing the swords and all the rest of it. So that's the very time when they've got to start breaking these things down.
Yeah.
Because that's the time when they can adapt them and they can adopt them, but they don't. They just leave them to fester in a cupboard somewhere, right? And they leave the beginners to learn them, and the beginners can't learn them because they haven't taught them properly, because they haven't learned them properly. They can't teach them properly. So they become useless. And then everybody looks at the hand blocks and kick blocks and goes, "Oh, they're a waste of time. They don't work."
Because they are saturated slowly and diluted, and they just become
they become
a formality and whatever.
Yeah, that's right. People just see it as a formality to take the grading. Yeah, but it's no good.
Yeah,
like that, you've got to make them work.
They're there to work.
They're designed to work. Yeah, they come from people that have made them work. And but there's always a reason why they work, and there's also always a reason why they don't. What you have to discover is both, and adapt it to different people.
Absolutely. As always, you're trying to think of the arguments for and against the technique. I mean, just to get your mind working, just get that out. Gray matter.
Because in learning those things, you learn so much more. Instead of going off and start learning some big set somewhere else.
But equally, if you're black sash, then teaching them, you're learning so much more as well. So
but you have to teach them to individuals. Problem with people is they teach them to a class, then they leave it, and then they see one person struggling, but they don't know how to fix it. Whereas really, what you've got to do is teach it to each individual couple. Okay, so when you've got different group people, and when you change those partners, the social diversity completely changes in an instant.
Of course,
So you don't have people who know each other, who have come to class as friends, staying the same. They must adapt. They must change. Partners all the time, changing partners. Social diversity. That means you've got so many more options and ways of learning the same thing.
Sure.
It becomes so much more valuable.
Yeah.
And as opposed to just being something that you'd learn once and throw in the cupboard once you took your grading.
Yeah.
Wow, people do that all the time.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? I think that was really great. Great discussion on that, and it's been short and sweet, this one, guys. So which is quite nice now and then. Guys, we'd like to really just sort of wrap it up there, if that's okay. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode. It's great. Thanks for your support.
Do I look like a granddad?
Yeah, I guess so.
I could be a granddad. My eldest daughter's 26. My youngest daughter is 21. I have a 22-year-old and a 24-year-old, or maybe 25. I don't know.
Do I look like a lightweight? Hey? Little lightweight. Okay. Enough. We couldn't resist. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Kung Fu Podcast. If you like that, please, pop over to our Facebook, give us a like, go and subscribe to us on YouTube, hit the notification bell, all the rest of it. We'd really appreciate that, and any comments or feedback from yourselves would be equally appreciated. As always, you can ask us questions, send in your opinions, whatever. We'd love to hear from you, and that's what we're here for as well. So just have a honest, good old-fashioned discussion, debate about what we love.
This is what we call a proactive video podcast, and other ones are called reactive. Responsive.
That's it. Right, I tell you what, you could sign us out, old man. You can say the goodbyes, and I'll say, go on, finish off.
Well, it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye. It's goodbye from me. And it's goodbye from him. That's what you're supposed to say.
That's the two Ronnies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. Well, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, and goodbye from my hometown.
And it's goodbye from my hometown as well. See you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Concentrate on your enemy's weak points. The eyes, the throat, the knackers.
Hi guys, thanks so much for joining us on the Kung Fu Podcast. If you like that and you want to find out more about us, you can head over to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram or YouTube and find us under SJN Martial Arts. And also guys, this podcast is available on Podbean and iTunes. So until next time, take care of yourselves and we'll see you again on the Kung Fu Podcast.
Karate punch is like an iron bar, whack. A Kung Fu punch is like an iron chain with an iron ball attached to the end and it go whang.
Can you break a log like that?
Don't know. Never been attacked by tree.